What is going on, Adobe Live? Welcome to another segment. Today we have, or really right now, we have another one with you guys, Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge with me, your host, Brandon Groce. We're super excited to have you all here. Let's talk to some of you guys in the chat. We have Sam Adongo. We have Richard. We have Ruth. What's happening, guys? Good to see you guys here. And really quick, we only have 1 week of Daily Creative Challenge this time around. Reason being is because Adobe Max is literally next week, and if you haven't registered already, definitely want to go ahead and do that. So, since we have quick time today, we're going to go ahead, for those of you who are new to Daily Creative Challenge, we're going to talk about how to register, how to join our Discord for those of you guys who want to participate in the challenge, and then we'll get into our daily challenge that we have for today. Sound good? Smells good to me. All right, let's roll over. And by the way, let me know if you guys can see me, hear me. There is some latency on my end. It looks like everything is running, but put a 1 in the chat if you guys can see me. But it looks like we're running pretty well. All right, first off, let me go ahead and share my screen so we can go ahead and jump into the Creative Challenge. This is, by the way, in the link down in the description, and Sam can also, very nicely, as he always does, is he knows exactly, he helps y'all out. The link to this basically is behance.net/challenge/XD. This is where you can take the challenge with this beautiful, nice blue button, and it tells you everything of how you receive every day a new challenge, how you can join the community, watch daily live shows, which you are doing right now, and how you can share your work, get feedback on Behance, as well as our Discord. So, with that said, we today are going to be doing and designing a course dashboard. So with that said, it looks like everybody can see and hear me well. Thank you guys so much in the chat. I appreciate you very much. And for those of you guys on YouTube, because I know we have the family over there as well, come jump ship over to Behance so we can have a conversation as a collective family. All right. So today we are going to learn how to design an online education dashboard. And if we have extra time, turn some heat up in adding some additional animations. Now, if you guys have already downloaded the files for today's challenge, you guys would see that we have gotten some inspiration from OutCrowd, an amazing agency, and we're going to be designing somewhat of this very similar online course dashboard. And if we really have time for it, we're going to go ahead and do some animation like we see here. So let's go ahead and open up XD really quick. And for those of you guys who have the actual, give me a second, let me rearrange my screen here really quick, guys, so I can see everything's going on. All right. And I do see my loudmouth on the other screen. Everything is looking good. All right, so if you have downloaded this file for today's challenge, by the way, the link should be down in the description. Sam, also help us out, please, and thank you. You will see 2 options here. You'll have all your assets. Your assets will be blank, at least for this portion. We're not trying to get into any copyright issues, but you're free to utilize any of the assets from Unsplash or even Adobe stock to your heart's content to fulfill what we're doing here. And for this challenge, I'm actually going to, because I really want to recreate what we're seeing here, I'm going to take artboard number 1. But if you just want to create a artboard where you actually are creating a dashboard, feel free to use artboard number 2. But I want to kind of get a little fancy, so I'm going to go ahead and rock with artboard number 1. Okay. Hey, what's going on, Annika? Laura, what's happening? Glad to see you guys here. The family is fully here. It's so nice. All right, so what we're going to start off, I know a lot of you guys may or may not be new to XD. Would love to know in the chat who is an avid XD user, who is new to XD. So if you're an avid user, press 1 in the chat. If you are totally new, press 2 and put 2 in the chat, and we will conversate as needed. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is you guys will kind of see that I have a little bit of an overlay. By the way, all the inspired by information will be in the challenge prompt, will be inside of your downloaded file for this challenge. So what we're going to do, and don't mind the dates or whatnot, or that it has a number 5. Yours should say number 1. This is Brandon's special file. So what I like to do, especially when I'm learning anything, because making up things is challenging. So what I like to do and why I always like to find inspiration, especially when I'm teaching something or trying to come up with something, I want to know how other people have done it. It's really good to figure out, okay, well, the people who I'm inspired by, how did they kind of figure this stuff out? So what I like to do is I kind of set up right here, very simple, a rectangle and then 2 other rectangles just for my sidebars. But I'm actually going to delete these. I know I have them for you guys in your file, but I'm just going to recreate them again so you guys can see how I do this. So essentially what I did is I took this photo that I have here, I've copied it, and I turned the opacity down, and I essentially made a rectangle the same size as this. Now, of course, if you want to redesign it as like a full website, you're free to do so down here. The challenge is totally up to you how you want to do it, but I am super excited to, if we have time, to kind of do some 3D stuff. So let's, fingers crossed. All right. So with that said, I'm just going to overlay this design over top my little rectangle, make sure it fits. And I'm just going to start creating some of the assets here. I'm going to turn this down a little bit more, the opacity. And I've given you guys some rectangles here that you can feel free to use. I've also created some of my own, but if you want to draw out some of your boxes, it's super simple. All you have to do is press R, which is your rectangle tool. And I'm just gonna go ahead and drag, turn our border off, and I see that we do, hey, what's going on, Igor? We have some 1s, some 1.5s, we have some 2s in the chat. Very nice. So we're just going to, and we have some masterminds in the chat. If you guys haven't seen Igor's work, highly recommend you guys check his stuff out if you're trying to learn some heavy duty animation. All right, so I'm just making my squares here. I'm actually just going to grab our color here. I totally could have just dragged and dropped this, but for those of you guys who are brand new, I'm essentially just creating my little cards, my little squares with R and just feeling it out, basically tracing, essentially. And I'm utilizing these little corners here to just find what is the exact roundness that I want. And I also, just for consistency, if you guys have, if I've done this card here, right? And I've done basically a radius of 36. So I could very simply just say, okay, well, we're gonna just do that for every single card. And I'm gonna go ahead and just duplicate this card by holding Alt, drag, and just position this how I want. I'm gonna just pull this in, pull this in. And while I'm doing this, it's pretty simple. I would love to know, for those of you guys who put in the chat, what is it, 1.5, 1.2, what are some of the things that makes you feel that you have, you're not necessarily a avid 1? And if you answer that, maybe we can answer some of those questions today. Gareth says 3.5. All right, so now I'm gonna do is, I'm just going to, now that I have these squares and I pretty much have all of my shapes, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna just make all of my rectangle stuff here. I'm gonna make my button here, radius, pull it up. I'm gonna grab the same color as this black here. And we have pretty much, I'm gonna just get my simple shapes. Simply, get my little circle. There we go, we'll put a face in there later. And because I basically deleted the sidebars, we're gonna go ahead and make the sidebars yet again. Again, my rectangle tool. Again, tracing where these bars might be. And also I can, come back here. And I'm just gonna take a quick screenshot because I really don't feel like copying and pasting, going back and forth. So what I want is, I wanna take this color here. So I'm just going to press I on my keyboard, select the gray. It's gonna pop up into my fill. I'm gonna add it to my solid colors. And now all I have to do is, now that I kind of have it, I just have it saved. I don't need to use my color picker anymore, things of that nature. And we're good to go. And I'm gonna round this out. Again, using those little knobs, just pulling them in. Ruth says, haven't used XD for months, getting ready for Max So up to date. Yes, there's going to be not just, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of exciting things in all of the software realms for Macs. I'm actually curious, while we're here discussing and as we're going through this, kind of talking through, what are you guys excited for when it comes to Macs? And while you guys answer that question in the chat, I am going to pull our little Tracy thing off, because I don't think or actually I'm going to turn it down. I don't think we need it right at the moment. But what I'm going to do is, you guys, if you see this, we have some of our shapes are basically running off our back plate, or our, what are we going to call this? Basically just our foundation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste. So we have another rectangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off so I'm show you what I'm doing. And there's many ways of doing this. I'm going to group these two rectangles together. I'm going to pull this on top. I'm going to select my two rectangles. So this is the group. I'm going to call them just the two rectangles so you guys know what I'm talking about. In this, I'm going to call that topmost rectangle a mask. Richard said, what you didn't know, what didn't you know? And I'm gonna take these two, right? 1, 2, and I'm gonna right click, mask with shape. And now, because I'm gonna take off this little border here, because we don't need that, from our back plate. There we go. Now we have our two sidebars within a mask, which is cool. So now we don't have any overlapping or overlaying elements, if that makes sense. Yeah, that shortcut, Rosie, you know what I'm saying? All right, so now we have some of our main pieces here. What I do want to do is I want to kind of grab this that card that I had back there, because I have it hiding. It's rectangle 1852. Also, it would be really awesome if you guys also layer or name your layers. I know it's really challenging, and in 30-minute increments, literally we have like 15-esque, not really, like 10 minutes left. But it's super important, especially when you start animating, to have your layers named. It helps tremendously. And so what we're gonna do here really quick is I'm gonna just start grabbing some of the colors here for my cards. My pink, my purple, my yellow. Again, using that shortcut of the I tool, or the keyboard shortcut I. I'm gonna take all of the borders off of these colors. There we go. Just utilizing my sidebar, selecting all of the cards and just making sure that the border is unchecked. And now what we can go ahead and do is, what we need now is text, icons, and we also need to bring back a profile photo. If I bring our little copy thing back to our artboard, just to compare what we have, what we don't have, we still need this user profile. And I'm gonna start pulling some other things on. I've already created some of these assets for you guys, so all you literally have to do is copy, drag them over, or paste them over. I'm just gonna situate them. Okay. We're using the font, whatchamacallit? Poppins. I think this is the favorite. A lot of you guys, like, for some reason, Poppins is like the thing on Adobe Live. I have no idea why. I would love to know what the preference is, or really where it came from for you guys. I think it's a Howard Pinsky thing. I think he was the starter of it all. And we're gonna make this about 19 or 18 pixels of Poppins light. We're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna improve your level. So this is sort of going to be, we are essentially on level 1. We're gonna go ahead and grab our title here. We're going to, what should we do? 24? And we'll play with this. So become the best version of yourself. Richard adding the color to the color selection. Yes, it is definitely your best friend, and it's just much easier to just have it in your collection or in your library or in your swatches rather. And I think that's what I guess you're making fun of a little bit. Yes, the swatches collection, the swatches of paint from your Adobe XD selection. So I'm going to scale this up till it's about, that looks pretty good. So that's about 40. We do want to thicken it up, so we're going to go to semi-bold, see how that looks. It's a little too thick. We're going to go medium. And by the way, a lot of stuff, for those of you who are semi-new to XD and you're like, I'm kind of, new to it, I've played within it. XD is probably the simplest application in a good way, because all you have really is your shape tools, your pen tool, your text tool. Everything that we've done here is shapes, assets, text. And as you can see, like 30 minutes, we're about 16 minutes in. We're about to be able to finish this very simply. So if you guys have any questions on tools, how I did something that I maybe didn't really explain, please let me know in the chat and I will explain in more depth that I'm kind of trying to talk and walk through and design at the same time. So we're gonna go ahead and make this 18 pixels over here. We're gonna light in this, we're gonna do light. Just have that there. We are gonna have our button. Now before I do this, I know my name is here, but guys, just bear with me. We're gonna get a random user profile from our user profile plugin. You can download this in the Adobe XD plugins store. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is click your plugins over here, go to plugins, and there is literally an entire marketplace for you to download. There's featured plugins. You can go to all plugins. There's a lot. My favorite, you can see already some installed, the lorem ipsum, the icons for design, a lot of this stuff, the undraw, a lot of these illustrations, icons, things of that nature. You don't have to go out on the internet and fetch. It's all within the Adobe XD platform. And hopefully throughout this week, we'll be able to touch on each and every detail that we can. All right, so going back to user profile, I'm going to get a full quality. I'm going to insert a random photo. And there we go. Aren't I so good looking right there? Just brand it right there. Brandon Groce. That's me on the regular. Okay, so all I had to do is I had to select a shape. So if I decide to have a circle, all I have to do is select it, insert random photo, and boom. It's pretty easy. I don't have to go out and find a photo. It's very easy. All right, so we're gonna just fill in this text here. I'm just gonna duplicate our hi Brandon. I'm going to turn it white, and I'm just gonna type in start. There we go. I'm gonna scale this properly, center it to our little button, and now I'm gonna start pulling this off yet again. Or actually, I'm not gonna pull this off. I'm gonna do this correctly. I'm gonna go to my layers very quickly. I'm gonna select my study layer, and I'm gonna pull this all the way to the bottom because I really don't need. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it that much. Okay. So now all I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna finally pull in this little illustration here. I'm gonna scale it. Again, you can use any sort of illustration that you want. You can download a high quality one. This was just something that I utilized that was from the design, and I kind of wanted to still, with the time allotted, keep it as simple as possible. I'm going to copy this text here. We're going to go to, I'm going to type in search. We're going to pull this down to, we're going to drop this maybe to like 16. and we'll play with that later. I'm going to duplicate this, holding Alt and dragging, holding the Shift so that everything stays in a straight line. And pull this over here. And we're pretty much done. All we have to do left is add the text within these cards, or yeah, some of the assets, text, and some of the icons on the left-hand side. So we have about 5 minutes to see what we can do. I'm gonna copy this, and this is where the magic happens, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this. So let's say these are my assets, right? I'm working with a graphic designer. They're like, hey, here's your graphics, run with it. So we're gonna rock with, and these are already in card form. I was saving you guys some time. But if I really quickly need to add some of these in, you know, some of these circles and squares that I have, I just copy, I click on the shape that I want to put it in, Control Alt V if you're on PC, or what is the Mac version? Oh, here it is. I got the wrong thing. Here we go. I'm trying to put a square in a square. I forgot that I already put it in a card. So all I have to do is, actually, it doesn't really count on that one. This was something totally separate. I'm actually going to use, just going to use this card. I'll explain what I was trying to explain on the other assets, guys. That one's just a little tricky because it's just an asset in the corner. It doesn't make any sense to explain what I was about to explain to you guys. All right, but let's say I want to have this spray can rather than trying to like finagle this and put this in this box. All I have to do is take, I think I actually already did them for you guys. So there's an actual photo in here. So I'm going to select this photo. I'm going to pull it out. So this is our pink image. So if I want to put it in here, all I have to do is copy, paste, and not just Control C, Control V. I'm doing copy and then Control Alt V for Mac. Somebody help me in the chat. I believe, I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I think it might be Control Option V. I think that's what it is. But I was so nice and tender and generous with you guys. I already kind of made the cards for you, so you didn't really have to do any of this. So I'm just gonna Control Alt V, paste that car in our little rectangle, and I'm gonna do the same with this. But for those of you who are already in this app, you already have this this document, you literally just drag the cards over. You're in good hands. I totally forgot how much I did for you guys. All right. Now, with that said, I'm just going to we're going to start messing with our icons very quickly. So I'm going to go to my plugins, icons for design, and I'm just going to type in plus. And I'm looking for a little plus here. And this brought my little icon onto my artboard. I'm going to pull it into where I want. It's a little too thick for me, so I'm going to decrease the actual how thick the stroke is on this asset, which is also why, obviously, working with SVGs and things where you can actually manipulate the actual icon rather than PNGs where it's just like static. You can't change the color of those. You would have to bring them into Photoshop, things of that nature. And by the way, if you guys are wondering about the jagged edges here, that actually will not happen if you spend time and do exactly what I did with these cards when I actually put them inside of when I actually I finagled and spent time putting the actual photo inside of the card and shaped it well. So if you guys see these edges, just make sure to, shape your card. Make sure it's masked well. You shouldn't have those jagged edges. Just make sure you mask well. And what that means is if you have to, I'm trying to explain all this stuff with the time allotted, guys. Let's say for this, there's jagged edges. If the Control Alt V does not work for you, just draw your own box. Or in this case, let's do your own rectangle. Here, we're going to increase the radius and just select both of these, right click, mask with shape. Look how clean and crisp that is. So that's another option for you guys. If the shortcuts and you start getting carpal tunnel forgetting what I said, just make a shape, mask it. All right, so with the short time that we have left, guys, I guess there won't be really any animation today. We have like 2.5 minutes. So I'm very quickly going to pull in more icons for us, and we're gonna get a home. We're gonna get a text thing here. So we're gonna type in here, home. Using our icons for design, we're gonna pull that out. I'm just gonna grab that. We're gonna grab, I wonder if there's paper. And we're gonna try to grab something that's semi-similar, that has semi-similar design. We'll do that. It's not exactly there, but close enough, guys. And we're just gonna type in star, and we have our star here. All right, so we have our 3 icons. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna take them, Control X. I'm gonna pull them onto my artboard. And I'm just going to distribute them evenly and vertically on our little navigation here. So I'm just gonna pull these on, select them all, use our distribution tools, make sure that they're equivalent throughout. And I'm going to actually make them, oh, not the fill. Let's not mess with that. Whoops. We want the border. Okay, let's turn this down just a little bit into our grays. I'm gonna add that to our collection there. And now I need to go in here specifically and make that gray as well. I'm gonna group them. 1, 2, and 3. And let's pretend like we have somewhat of a logo. We're just gonna make it, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, guys. I realize we did go over the time. I apologize. We shut off at 27, not 28. I thought we had 2 minutes, but thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys' time. Regardless, links down in the description. All this stuff is here. If you guys are on YouTube, thank you for hanging out. But with that said, join in tomorrow. We'll have everything on time, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy. Peace.